Hello, and welcome to the Coach Right podcast, where we explore how to turn coaching expertise into published pages. I'm your host, Helen O'Neill, portfolio career specialist, author, and creator of Coach Right, the writing space and program specifically designed for coaches. You can get the episode show notes and your free guide to publishing options at coachright.co.uk. I'll see you for the next chapter. Welcome to the Coach Right podcast. I'm your host, Helen O'Neill, and this is episode 36. Today, we are talking all about newsletters, and it's something that comes up when I speak with coaches launching or building their practice and with aspiring authors. So once again, the synergies between the two worlds are useful to leverage. I'd been in the independent author space for about a decade before I launched my practice, and I know that your list is your business. So before I left my job in corporate, I set up an account with a mailing list provider. And on my last day, I sent one of those leaving emails, you know, the ones where you say how much you've enjoyed working there and how brilliant the people are, and give people your contact details if they'd like to keep in touch. On that email, I gave them the link to sign up to my list. 2 people did, and I've been sending an email every Friday ever since. Today, I'm going to share a few reflections and some practical bits and bobs about some of the questions I get asked the most. We're going to talk about why your list is more important than social media, how to build it and the good old pieces of tech that you need to know, how to maintain it and ensure that your subscribers are engaged, and most importantly, what to say. Now, I know that when you launch your practice, you are told post every day on social media. Do the reels, do the stories and the TikTok videos and the LinkedIn articles, and the clients, they will come. Yeah, it doesn't work like that. You don't own your audience on social media. It's rented space. The algorithm gods decide who sees your post on LinkedIn. Instagram decides your reach. And every platform can and does change their algorithm overnight, potentially taking that visibility with it. They can also close. Anyone remember MySpace? Yeah, doesn't exist anymore. Imagine you've got a couple of thousand people in your Facebook group, and Meta decides they don't want to support Facebook anymore and they close it down. All of those connections are lost and you have no way of speaking to them. Your email list is different. People have opted in to hear from you. They've given you permission to use their contact details. If you decide to change provider, you can take those details with you. Now, there are various stats flying around about the value of a subscriber versus a follower, but needless to say, your time is better spent populating your list than it is scrabbling for likes. Let's have a think about why that matters. Coaches and authors are in the credibility business. People don't hire a coach or buy a book from a stranger. They buy from someone they know, like, and trust. A newsletter sent consistently, and consistency is important, builds that trust. And if people reply, it builds connection. And human connection is the valuable capital we have in this digital time. Don't think for a minute that you're going to send an email from your Gmail. You need a platform. There are various options for this, and the one you choose will depend on your budget and your level of technical capability. Some website providers like Wix include email services. If you decide to use an integrated marketing tool like Kartra, they do too. Or you can go with one of the mainstream options, MailerLite, Kit, or Octopus, for example. I've been with MailerLite since the beginning and have been really happy with the functionality. It also integrates with Claude, which is handy for building automations. But they have just reduced their free plan to 250 subscribers, which, as I've said before, I think is a real shame because you need more than that before your business really kicks in. Kit is also easy to use, and I have done in the past. They have a much more generous free plan. All of this moves and changes, so it's worth putting a couple of hours aside and doing some research before you choose. But what about Substack? I hear you cry. Let's be super clear. Substack is not a newsletter. It's a blogging platform. Yes, you can monetize it, but you will notice that those that do nearly always drive subscribers away from the platform and towards something else. You are writing for and building Substack's ecosystem, not yours. If you're writing a blog, put it on your website. If you do have capacity, consider doing your own newsletter and using Substack for discoverability. That's a strategic choice, and if that works for you, go for it. And the same is true when we think about LinkedIn newsletters. Super useful, yes, and not yours. Then there's the question about what to say. And it's a little bit like when people ask where ideas come from when we're writing our books. I always say that ideas are like dust. Once you learn to notice them, you can't help but see them everywhere. And every piece doesn't need to be perfect. Remember, this is a letter to people who want to hear from you. It's not an article in an academic journal. It doesn't have to be polished or referenced. Don't overthink it. I often dictate my newsletters when I'm out on a walk. Great for the step count and for my productivity. We're coaches, so reflections are great. Something you've noticed, something you've read, something you've experienced that week, connected to a bigger idea your readers care about. You'll notice this is very much the backbone of my own newsletter, Coach White Reflections. The hint is in the name. You might share a lesson from a client session, respecting confidentiality, of course, but thinking about what came up, what you noticed, what it might mean for someone reading who's experiencing something similar. A sneak peek behind the scenes is always good. People love to know what you're working on, struggling with, learning. I don't know about you, but I love to know all the real stuff, the random moments, the joy. If you're working on a book, share where you are in the process. Share the content from the book. You can reuse your own content as much as you like. It doesn't have to be new every time. Some people work with a calendar and map it all out. I tend not to. My newsletter is human me and as close to real time as possible. It's top of my content pyramid. But if that feels overwhelming to you, lean into what works best for you. And on content, it is worth thinking about some content pillars so that you've got some broad topics that you'll talk about on a regular basis that link with your business. So for me, that's portfolio careers, anything writing and publishing, AI and futurist topics, and life sustainability. And on AI, unless you're really good at it, I'd steer away from using AI to draft your emails, at least to start with. You want to learn your voice and you want to connect. This is why I find dictation so useful. Remember, your newsletter is your most important piece of regular content. Use AI to convert it into lower priority social media posts, but please don't cut corners on connecting with your community. And then a quick note on what not to write. Don't make every email a sales email. No one wants to read that. Yes, you'll want to include calls to action and ways for people to work with you. But if you make that the focus of your email, people will very quickly unsubscribe. Or worse, they just won't open what you send. Next, let's have a think about how you build it. So you've got your tech set up, you've got a list of ideas that you're going to write about, and then you need to grow that list. Start with the tools that you already have. Post on LinkedIn that you've started an email list and ask people to sign up. Post on your other socials, doing the same. If you have a lead magnet, something to give away in exchange for an email list, utilize that too. When you guest on podcasts and the host asks you where people can find you, don't say LinkedIn, give your newsletter sign up. When you write an article, do the same. When you run a webinar, get people on your list. In the back of your book, include the link. All of these actions compound over time. Keep at it. And as soon as you have subscribers, start sending them content. That's why they are there. Decide on a frequency and stick to it. If weekly feels too much, do fortnightly. If fortnightly feels too much, do monthly. If monthly feels too much, see what else you can stop doing so that you can prioritize your email. Remember, the more connected you are with your audience, the more likely they are to convert to customers. Consistency is key. Snowflake behaviors are creeping into those core marketing pillars. People skip weeks for the podcast or go quiet on their newsletter for weeks on end. You will lose engagement if you do that. So keep sending it every week. No skipped weeks for holidays. You can schedule it. No catch up next month. This is what I do. Every Friday, no matter what, you will get an email from me, and people appreciate it. Of course, having people on your list is very important. And what's also important is that those subscribers are engaged. This is not a vanity metric. You want people who open and respond to your email. A list of 100 people who open regularly and say hello to you are much more valuable than a list of 10,000 people who don't. So keep an eye on those all-important open rates. If people aren't engaged, consider removing them from your list. That initial list that I built was around my practice on career coaching. When my business pivoted to support coaches looking to write, I knew a lot of people on that list were no longer my ideal client. They knew it too, and my open rates started to drop. So I did an email cleanse and cut nearly half of my subscribers. Oh, did it hurt to see that number go down? But a few weeks later, I could see the value in the open rates as they skyrocketed. And of course, I've replaced those subscribers with new ones, and they are engaged. The point here is to be practical, not emotional, about the vanity metrics. And you've heard me talk a couple of times today about replies. If someone replies to your email, reply back. Unless your business is so huge that you couldn't possibly cope with the volume, do this personally. These are your most engaged fans, so treat them with the respect they are due. Your community will support you. Some of them will buy coaching from you. Some will buy your books. Some will cheerlead for you or refer you. These are your people. Cherish them. So if you're a coach or an author and you don't have a newsletter yet, this is your time to change that. Pick a platform, tell some people, write them a letter, and repeat. And let me know what the link is. I'll sign up. It would be remiss of me to do an episode on newsletters without inviting you to join mine. Coach Write Reflections goes out every Friday from Human Me, no exceptions. You can sign up at coachwrite.co.uk/reflections. So that's it from me this week. I hope this episode was useful. Please do share it with a coach or writer who needs to hear it. Next week on the show, we have Becca Syme, and we'll be talking all about her Dear Writer series. I'll see you for the next chapter. Thank you for joining me today. You can get the show notes and your free guide to publishing options at coachwrite.co.uk. Remember to subscribe and leave a review on your podcatcher of choice. Your words can make a difference. A review can too. If you'd like to connect, find me on LinkedIn, O'Neill Helen, that's ONEILL, or on Instagram at coach_write. I'll see you